Every single car company in the world, not just Ford, is losing money selling electric vehicles, except for Tesla.
Ford just dropped a bombshell, shutting down its $26 billion European market and sending shockwaves across the car market. A move this drastic doesn't just happen overnight. It's not about strategy tweaks or simple cost cutting. It's about survival in a market where even giants are struggling to keep their heads above water. But why would Ford abandon such a big market? What went so wrong that it led to this massive decision? And most importantly, how will this shakeup impact the car market and perhaps even you? The truth behind this move will leave you stunned. What's happening? Ford's announcement to cut 4,000 jobs in Europe isn't just a headline. It's a seismic event in the automotive industry. The cuts, amounting to a staggering 14% of their European workforce, are concentrated in countries like Germany, the United Kingdom, and other key markets. For a company like Ford, this isn't business as usual. It's a direct response to mounting pressures that are reshaping the global auto industry at its core. But why is this happening now? To understand the magnitude of this decision, we need to look at Ford's recent history in Europe. The company had boldly committed to going fully electric by 2030. That's right, no hybrids, no gas-powered vehicles, just pure EVs. This wasn't just a lofty goal, it was a calculated gamble. Ford poured billions into transforming its operations, including a $2 billion investment to revamp its Cologne factory in Germany, turning it into a state-of-the-art EV production hub. On paper, it was the perfect move to cement their dominance in the European market. But despite all the ambition, something went horribly wrong. Instead of thriving, Ford has been forced to scale back. The EV revolution, once seen as their golden ticket, has turned into a battleground where even the strongest players are struggling to survive. Ford's premium EV gamble. Ford's vision for Europe was ambitious, perhaps too ambitious. By committing to an all-electric future, they aimed to position themselves as pioneers in the region's fast-evolving EV market. However, this dream began to unravel under the weight of harsh economic realities. The heart of the problem lies in their strategy. Ford chose to focus on premium EVs, banking on sleek designs, cutting-edge technology, and higher price tags to capture market share. But here's the catch. Europe's middle-class consumers, still reeling from inflation and rising living costs, aren't rushing to buy high-end electric cars. Unlike traditional vehicles, EVs come with hefty upfront costs, largely due to the expense of batteries. While Ford's premium models might appeal to tech-savvy, affluent buyers, they leave out a significant portion of the market, the everyday families looking for affordable and practical transportation options. Meanwhile, Chinese automakers have swooped in to fill this gap. Companies like BYD and NIO are flooding the European market with cost-effective, feature-packed EVs. These vehicles aren't just cheap, they're competitive, offering great value for money. For Ford, this shift has been devastating, exposing their over-reliance on a premium-focused strategy. Ford's struggles impact. The challenges Ford faces in Europe go beyond pricing. Economic pressures are squeezing both the company and its consumers. Inflation is at record highs, energy costs are skyrocketing, and government support for EV adoption is waning. In Germany, for instance, the abrupt end of EV subsidies caused sales to plummet by 37% in just 1 month. For Ford, which had heavily banked on Germany as a cornerstone of its European strategy, this was a devastating blow. But it doesn't end there. The costs of shifting to EV production, new supply chains, advanced technologies, and infrastructure upgrades have placed an enormous financial burden on the company. Ford's premium pricing strategy has been undercut by competitors who have managed to adapt more flexibly to these challenges. For consumers, the decision to switch to electric vehicles just doesn't make financial sense right now, especially with fewer incentives to ease the transition. What could happen next? Ford's challenges in Europe are compounded by the high cost of doing business in the region. Labor costs in countries like Germany and the United Kingdom are significantly higher than in other parts of the world. Meanwhile, competitors have diversified their production into lower-cost countries and optimized their supply chains to adapt to the EV era. Additionally, Europe's EV infrastructure remains inconsistent. While cities like Amsterdam and Oslo boast cutting-edge charging networks, rural areas across the continent struggle with basic access. For many consumers, the fear of running out of charge is still a major barrier to EV adoption. This lack of universal infrastructure has further complicated Ford's efforts to win over the European market. At the same time, Ford's marketing strategy has emphasized sophistication and exclusivity, an approach that resonates with a niche audience but alienates a broader consumer base. Competitors, on the other hand, have successfully marketed affordability and practicality, leaving Ford struggling to connect with the average buyer. The cost of innovation. The struggles Ford is facing in Europe are not an isolated event. They are part of a much larger issue that has been brewing within the global automotive industry for years. The electric vehicle revolution, which was supposed to be the shining beacon of innovation and sustainability, has proven to be an extremely complex challenge for even the biggest names in the industry. While many automakers promised a smooth transition from traditional combustion engines to fully electric powertrains, the road has been anything but straightforward. One of the most significant challenges is the sheer cost of innovation. Shifting an entire industry from gas-powered vehicles to electric ones requires a monumental amount of investment. This is not just about retooling factories or designing sleek new car models. It involves developing new technologies, building infrastructure, and navigating completely different supply chains. For Ford, these costs have piled up at an alarming rate. The billions poured into their European operations, particularly the Cologne factory in Germany, were intended to position the company as a leader in the electric vehicle market. However, those investments are now turning into heavy financial burdens. The battery challenge. The costliest element in this transition is the battery. The lithium-ion battery, which powers most modern electric vehicles, remains one of the most expensive components. Despite advancements in technology, the cost of producing these batteries is still significantly higher than the cost of producing traditional internal combustion engines. For companies like Ford, this means higher production costs that are ultimately passed on to consumers. In a region like Europe, where many buyers are already grappling with inflation and high energy costs, these price hikes make electric vehicles a hard sell. It is not just the consumers who are feeling the pinch. The rising costs of raw materials used in electric vehicle production are hitting automakers hard. Essential components like lithium, cobalt, and nickel have seen skyrocketing demand, driving up prices. For Ford, this creates a perfect storm of financial pressure, especially as they attempt to compete with manufacturers who have better control over their supply chains. China's competitive advantage. While Ford has been focusing on premium electric vehicles, competitors from China have been taking a very different approach. Companies like Build Your Dreams and NIO have flooded the European market with affordable electric vehicles that are packed with features. These companies have a significant advantage because they control much of the electric vehicle ecosystem. From battery production to assembly lines, they operate highly streamlined systems that allow them to produce vehicles at lower costs. Chinese automakers are not only winning on price, but also on adaptability. They have been quicker to respond to consumer demands for affordable and practical options. Their electric vehicles might not have all the bells and whistles of Ford's premium models, but they meet the needs of everyday buyers who prioritize cost effectiveness and reliability. For Ford, this poses a significant challenge. Competing with these companies means either lowering their prices or offering something unique that resonates with a broader audience. Marketing that misses the mark. Ford's marketing strategy in Europe has leaned heavily on exclusivity and sophistication. Their advertisements highlight cutting-edge technology, luxury features, and the environmental benefits of driving electric vehicles. While this messaging appeals to tech enthusiasts and wealthier buyers, it excludes a significant portion of the market, middle-class families who are looking for a practical, affordable car to meet their everyday needs. This exclusion is particularly problematic in a market like Europe, where economic conditions are putting a strain on household budgets. Inflation rates have surged across the continent, driving up the cost of living. Energy prices, especially in regions heavily dependent on imported fuels, have also skyrocketed. For many consumers, making the switch to an electric vehicle is simply not feasible. Even with government subsidies, the upfront costs are too high to justify the transition. Inconsistent infrastructure. Adding to the complexity is the inconsistency of Europe's electric vehicle infrastructure. While some cities like Amsterdam and Oslo boast state-of-the-art charging networks, rural areas across the continent are struggling with limited access to charging stations. For potential buyers in these regions, the fear of running out of charge mid-journey remains a significant deterrent. Without a universal and reliable charging network, the appeal of electric vehicles diminishes considerably. Ford's European operations are further complicated by the region's high labor costs. Manufacturing in countries like Germany and the United Kingdom is far more expensive than in regions where competitors have moved their operations. Automakers who have diversified their production to countries with lower labor costs are better positioned to weather the financial pressures of transitioning to electric vehicles. For Ford, this creates a disadvantage that cannot be ignored. A crowded market. The competitive landscape is also evolving rapidly. The electric vehicle market, once dominated by traditional automakers like Ford, is now crowded with new players. Companies from China, South Korea, and even startup manufacturers in Europe are bringing innovative and cost-effective models to the market. These new entrants are not burdened by the legacy costs and traditional business models that established automakers like Ford must navigate. This gives them an agility that allows them to respond quickly to market trends and consumer demands. For Ford, the challenge is not just about keeping up with these competitors. It is about fundamentally rethinking their approach to the electric vehicle market. Their current strategy, which prioritizes premium models and high-tech features, is out of sync with the economic realities of their target audience. To regain traction, Ford will need to find a way to balance innovation with affordability. One possible solution lies in building partnerships with technology companies and other automakers to share the costs and risks of innovation. By collaborating on research and development, Ford could potentially lower production costs and accelerate the development of more affordable models. Another approach could involve investing in local manufacturing facilities in regions with lower labor costs. This would allow Ford to compete more effectively with Chinese automakers who have already mastered this strategy. A way forward. Ford could also benefit from a more inclusive marketing strategy. Instead of focusing solely on luxury and technology, they could emphasize the practicality and long-term cost savings of electric vehicles. Highlighting the reduced maintenance costs and environmental benefits could help appeal to a broader audience, especially in economically strained regions. Additionally, Ford must address the infrastructure challenges that are holding back electric vehicle adoption. Partnering with governments and private companies to expand the charging network across Europe would not only benefit Ford, but the entire industry. Building confidence in the availability and reliability of charging stations is a critical step toward increasing electric vehicle sales. Ford's decision to scale back its European operations is not just a corporate adjustment, it is a stark reminder of the broader challenges facing the automotive industry. The electric vehicle revolution was supposed to redefine transportation, but the rapid push toward electrification has exposed significant vulnerabilities in even the largest automakers. Ford's struggles in Europe serve as a cautionary tale for the industry, signaling that the transition to electric vehicles is far from seamless. The ripple effects of Ford's decision extend far beyond their assembly lines. For consumers, the shift could mean reduced competition in the market, which might impact pricing and innovation. On the other hand, it might also signal an opportunity for more agile competitors to step in and fill the gaps left by traditional automakers. This uncertainty creates a volatile environment where everyone, from car buyers to suppliers, is left wondering how the landscape will shift. The consumer's dilemma. For consumers, Ford's setbacks highlight a persistent problem in the electric vehicle market: affordability versus aspiration. Electric vehicles promise cleaner, greener transportation, but they often come with a hefty price tag. Ford's focus on premium models reflects an attempt to position their vehicles as aspirational products, packed with advanced features and cutting-edge design. However, for most middle-class buyers, these features are secondary to affordability and practicality. The consumer dilemma is compounded by a lack of consistency in infrastructure and incentives. While urban centers might boast charging stations on every corner, rural areas often have limited or no access to charging networks. This disparity creates a two-tier system where electric vehicles are accessible primarily to city dwellers, leaving a significant portion of the population underserved. Ford's premium strategy also alienates a large segment of potential buyers who are looking for straightforward, cost-effective options. Chinese automakers have capitalized on this gap by offering vehicles that prioritize functionality over flashiness. For Ford, this misalignment with consumer priorities is a key reason why their electric vehicle push has struggled to gain traction in Europe. Impacts on the global market. Ford's challenges in Europe are not isolated from their global operations. The automaker's decision to cut jobs and scale back electric vehicle targets sends a clear signal to the rest of the world. The transition to electric vehicles is more challenging than anticipated. This reality check is likely to influence Ford's strategies in other regions, including North America and Asia, where the electric vehicle market is also evolving rapidly. For global suppliers, the impact of Ford's adjustments is significant. The automaker's reduced electric vehicle targets mean fewer contracts for battery manufacturers, raw material suppliers, and technology providers. This shift could create a domino effect impacting companies across the supply chain and potentially slowing down the pace of innovation in the electric vehicle sector. On the flip side, Ford's challenges present an opportunity for competitors who are better positioned to navigate the complexities of the electric vehicle market. Automakers with diversified operations, leaner cost structures, and a focus on affordability could gain market share at Ford's expense. This competitive pressure will likely push the industry to find more efficient ways to produce electric vehicles and make them accessible to a broader audience. The role of policy and regulation. Ford's struggles in Europe are a stark reminder of how much the electric vehicle market depends on government policies and incentives. For years, subsidies and tax breaks have been the backbone of electric vehicle adoption, helping to offset the high upfront costs for consumers. However, as governments begin to phase out these incentives, the true market dynamics are coming into play, and they are not always favorable to automakers. In Germany, for example, the abrupt end of subsidies caused a dramatic decline in electric vehicle sales. For Ford, this was a critical blow to their European strategy, which relied heavily on German consumers adopting electric vehicles at a steady rate. Without these financial incentives, the higher costs of electric vehicles become a barrier that many buyers cannot overcome. This dependency on subsidies reveals a broader vulnerability in the electric vehicle market. If automakers cannot make their vehicles competitive without government support, it raises questions about the long-term sustainability of the industry. For Ford, this means rethinking their pricing and production strategies to reduce reliance on external support. Opportunities in consumer-centric solutions. Despite the challenges, Ford's situation is not without hope. The automaker has an opportunity to recalibrate its strategy and focus on consumer-centric solutions that address the affordability and accessibility issues plaguing the electric vehicle market. One potential avenue is the development of smaller, more affordable electric vehicles that cater to middle-class buyers. By shifting their focus from premium models to practical options, Ford could tap into a larger segment of the market. Another area of opportunity lies in expanding the electric vehicle charging infrastructure. While Ford cannot single-handedly solve the charging network's inconsistencies, they can play a proactive role by partnering with governments and private companies to invest in charging solutions. This could include mobile charging units, faster charging technology, or partnerships with local businesses to create charging hubs in underserved areas. Additionally, Ford could explore subscription-based models for electric vehicles, allowing consumers to lease vehicles at lower costs with built-in maintenance and charging packages. This approach could make electric vehicles more accessible to buyers who are hesitant about the high upfront investment. What this means for the industry. Ford's struggles highlight the broader challenges facing the automotive industry as it transitions to electric vehicles. The shift requires a delicate balance between innovation, affordability, and consumer readiness. Automakers that fail to address these interconnected issues risk losing their foothold in an increasingly competitive market. The implications for smaller automakers are even more severe. If a giant like Ford is struggling to navigate the electric vehicle transition, the barriers for less established companies are even higher. This could lead to a consolidation of the industry, with only the most adaptable and well-resourced players surviving the shift to electric vehicles. For policymakers, Ford's challenges underscore the importance of creating a supportive environment for electric vehicle adoption. This includes consistent incentives, investments in infrastructure, and collaboration with automakers to address the systemic barriers to electrification. Without these measures, the path to widespread electric vehicle adoption will remain steep and fraught with obstacles. The consumer perspective. While Ford's situation might seem like an industry issue, it has direct implications for consumers. Reduced competition in the market could limit the variety of options available, particularly in regions where Ford is scaling back its operations. At the same time, the rise of new competitors, particularly from Asia, could drive prices down and create more affordable options for buyers. For environmentally conscious consumers, Ford's struggles are a reminder that the transition to sustainable transportation is not a straightforward journey. While electric vehicles represent a cleaner alternative to traditional gas-powered cars, the barriers to adoption, high costs, inconsistent infrastructure, and limited availability must be addressed to make the transition viable for everyone. Ford's decision to cut jobs and scale back operations in Europe marks a turning point for the company and the electric vehicle industry as a whole. It is a clear signal that the challenges of electrification are far from over, and that even the most iconic automakers must adapt to survive in this new era. For Ford, the path forward will require bold decisions and a willingness to embrace change. Whether it is through partnerships, new product offerings, or a shift in marketing strategies, the company must find a way to reconnect with its audience and meet the demands of a rapidly evolving market. The stakes are high, but so are the opportunities for those who can navigate the complexities of the electric vehicle revolution. Ford's strategic adjustments. Ford's decision to scale back its operations in Europe is more than a reaction to current market pressures. It is a signal that the company is rethinking its role in the global electric vehicle market. Scaling back job cuts and production targets may appear to be a retreat, but in reality, it is a strategic pivot designed to navigate the complexities of a rapidly changing industry. In Europe, Ford's premium-focused strategy has not resonated as expected. Now, the company has an opportunity to realign its goals. The emphasis must shift from exclusivity to inclusivity. Affordable electric vehicles with practical features could cater to Europe's middle-class consumers, who remain the backbone of the automotive market. Ford's willingness to adapt to this shift will determine whether it can reclaim its competitive edge or be left behind by more agile competitors. As Ford navigates these adjustments, the automaker is likely to place greater focus on efficiency, streamlining operations, exploring automation in manufacturing, and localizing supply chains will be critical steps. This shift could reduce overhead costs and allow Ford to compete more effectively against international rivals. Partnerships with battery manufacturers and technology providers could further bolster their ability to innovate while keeping production costs manageable. Global implications. Ford's recalibration is not just about Europe, it has global implications. The lessons learned in Europe will likely influence Ford's strategies in other regions, including North America and Asia. In the United States, Ford has a stronger foothold, thanks in part to its popular lineup of electric trucks like the Ford Lightning series. However, the European experience serves as a cautionary tale, emphasizing the need to approach electrification with a nuanced understanding of each market's unique challenges. In Asia, the stakes are even higher. The dominance of Chinese automakers in the electric vehicle market presents a significant hurdle for international competitors. Chinese manufacturers have mastered cost-effective production and streamlined supply chains, giving them an edge in both affordability and scalability. For Ford, entering or expanding in the Asian market will require a strategic approach that accounts for these competitive pressures. Globally, Ford's situation underscores the interconnectedness of the automotive industry. Supply chains span continents, consumer preferences vary widely, and government policies shift unpredictably. Navigating this complexity requires not only resilience but also foresight. Ford's ability to anticipate and adapt to these variables will shape its role in the global electric vehicle market. The role of collaboration. Collaboration will likely play a pivotal role in Ford's future success. Partnering with governments, technology companies, and other automakers can help address some of the industry's most pressing challenges. For instance, investing in a more robust charging infrastructure is not a task any single company can accomplish alone. By working with public and private entities, Ford can help create an ecosystem that supports electric vehicle adoption on a larger scale. Another area of collaboration lies in battery technology. The cost and efficiency of batteries remain critical barriers to widespread electric vehicle adoption. By joining forces with innovators in battery development, Ford could accelerate advancements in this area, potentially reducing production costs and making electric vehicles more accessible to consumers. Collaborative efforts could also extend to policy advocacy. Automakers, including Ford, have a vested interest in influencing government policies that promote sustainability without imposing undue burdens on the industry. By engaging in constructive dialogue with policymakers, Ford can help shape regulations that balance environmental goals with economic realities. Shifting consumer expectations. While Ford navigates these challenges, consumer expectations are also evolving. Buyers are no longer simply looking for a vehicle, they are seeking a seamless mobility experience. This shift represents an opportunity for Ford to redefine its relationship with its customers. Subscription-based ownership models, integrated digital platforms, and enhanced connectivity features could transform the way consumers interact with Ford's vehicles. By focusing on user experience and offering personalized solutions, Ford can differentiate itself in a crowded market. The goal is not just to sell vehicles, but to build lasting relationships with customers. Additionally, as environmental awareness grows, more consumers are factoring sustainability into their purchasing decisions. Ford has already made strides in this area by committing to a fully electric lineup and investing in green technologies. However, sustainability must go beyond the product itself. Transparent supply chains, ethical sourcing of materials, and initiatives to offset carbon emissions are becoming increasingly important to consumers. Ford's journey through the electric vehicle revolution is far from over, and the challenges they face are a reflection of the industry as a whole. But what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.